Good morning to you all. This is Simon from Flypast, and we're probably going to have the usual cock-ups at the beginning of a stream as we get the gremlins out of the system. I hope you're all good today. And we left the last stream looking at the attack of the French cavalry in the third phase of the Battle of Waterloo. And we left a stage where the oomph, the power, morning there, Guy, the power of the cavalry was waning, and the attacks were getting less impactful. And I remember Ney is starting to get frustrated in his attacks. Mercer's describing this now as a sort of a child's play, that they're not even sort of threatening them anymore. And it ends with essentially Ney losing all reason. He has his third horse shot from below him, and he's seen at this time striking the mouth of an abandoned British cannon with his sword in frustration. So the French attacks, the cavalry attacks, are waning, and it's this time that we also get reports that the French, so the Prussian Fourth Corps, the vanguard is starting to pour out of the Bois to Paris, or Paris, maybe I should say. And these numbers begin to get significant. Remember, William Siborne, he was doing a survey of the battle about 20 years later, and he starts quoting figures around about 16,000 Prussians are starting to appear on the battlefield at that time. So I thought we'd take a little detour now, and we'll come across to this area of Belgium, which is to the southeast of Wavre. And if I just come around, we're flying over an area that's known as Dion-le-Mont, southeast of the town of Wavre. And why? Because this is where the Fourth Corps of Bulow's, the Prussian army under the command of Bulow, is bivouacked for the night of the 17th and the 18th. And so I think it's quite important that we then have a look at this journey that the Prussians made on this day in order to impact the battlefield. So we're going to spin around here now. We'll come back and we'll find this ridge. It's sort of like it's called Dion-le-Mont. There's Dion-le-Val. We're also here a place called Veur-de-Sart. This is the sort of area that the Prussians are. And if I just grab the map for you, we'll show you where we are. I'll just pause the helicopter. So we are, so the area we're concentrating on now is the area between 5 and 6. Hold on, we seem to have a warning here. We are essentially in this area here around Dion-le-Mont, Dion-Val, this sort of area here. This is the area that the Bulow's Fourth Corps will begin its day. Right, let's start the story then of the Prussians' advance. So the terrain between here and Waterloo is essentially hilly. lots more trees, valleys, steep slopes to brooks and swampy land, a number of ridges and ravines. Just make sure I'm going the right way. Just head a little bit to the right here. And the distance that we're talking about as well is essentially around about 25 kilometers from here over to the battlefield of Waterloo, essentially Place Noire, the sort of right flank of Napoleon's army. And a normal, well-trained army, good troops, would probably be expected to cover that distance in around about 6 hours. And you would have thought as well, you know, with the urgency of the situation, maybe a little bit quicker. But Bulow's corps, who's tasked to lead the Prussian advance across the Waterloo, do this journey in 11 hours. So why was that? Well, I mean, we know that the conditions were pretty bad. It had been raining most of the previous day, and the slopes were like the tracks were unprepared, like mud chutes, so they were trying to bring up their artillery and their cavalry. That was one reason. The other reason is that they're trying to go through Wavre, so they're trying to move their corps through the town of Wavre. They want to get onto the other side of the river Deal, so that their left flank is essentially protected by the river. They could, if I just pause and get the map out again, sorry if it's going to go make an alarm again, but you can essentially see that they want to be on, this is the river here, they want to be on this sort of north western side of the river, coming down Limal towards Lasnay here. They want to be on this, they're going to go via Rixart and then down through Chapelles Lambert, but they want to have this river here essentially protecting its right, its left flank as it marches, just in case that the French come across and try to intervene. So Bulow's corps is essentially made up of brigades of Lothin, Hiller and Hake, and so the vanguard is Losthin's brigade. They set it off first thing in the morning, followed by Hiller and Hake, and then followed by the artillery and cavalry, and then with Rissel's brigade bringing up the rear. Bulow tried to make sure that the wheeled transport was kept to the minimum in this advance in order to speed up the journey. But because of the late supply of arrival of supply trains, these soldiers are moving off at this time, essentially not having eaten. So they're moving across here now towards Wavre, and we'll follow their journey now from Dion, Le Mans, which is just over here, and we're heading now into the town of Wavre. Okay, so the troops are then going to set off on this basically a 25-kilometer journey. Without any breakfast food. So that's another issue that's going to bug the army. Sorry about that, I'm just a little bit distracted here. We've got some issues with my sound. Bear with me. Probably not your sound, it's probably my sound. Okay, there we go. So delays involving the lead brigade's baggage trains means that then there's an impact all the way along the line. Lawson's journey begins at about 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, but Hillier's start is then delayed until 6, and the delays all ripple down the line, so that the sort of cavalry of the brigade are not leaving here until around about 10 o'clock in the morning, and because they're almost 6 hours in the saddle at this point, their horses are, they're already sort of getting tired, but there's also Exelmann's vanguard of the French part of the Grouchy's wing start to engage the rear guard of the Rissel, and he's forced to leave behind 2 regiments of cavalry to hold off the threat of the French as they come in. This is the town of Wavre here. So the start has not been a great one, but it is a start. So if they were going to attack or also go straight towards Waterloo, it would actually be best to go on the sort of the left bank of the Deal, but because swollen river, because of the rains, they want to move across onto this northern side of the river and have it, as I say, as a protection against any French advances from this side over here. So, because the river is swollen and the marshy lands, then they need to cross the river here at Wavre itself. We'll just do a quick spin around Wavre. And so they're coming through here at around about 7 o'clock in the morning of the 18th of June. And once the river or the stream is quite hard to see. We'll see if we can pick it up. Well, once they've crossed this stream, then they're having to go through the narrow streets of Wavre itself. And there's a lot of baggage trains here. There's a lot of field hospitals in this area, and there's a lot of congestion as they try to pass through. Now remember, the First Corps have already passed through here. They're just on the hill over this side. along with the Second Corps of Pirch, and Thielman is also in and around the sort of northern part of Wavre as well. So the whole place is a little bit congested. We get a steep climb out of the river. Let me just spin it around, hover it here, and we're sort of coming up out of the town, up this sort of steep hill at the other side here, towards Liège. There was a broken down 12-pounder believed to be here as well in these roads below us. Let me just actually let me just pause here and jump out, and we can have a better view. So we should be able to see the deal is not a significant river here, but you can see this is the center of the old town just here, and you can see the river just if we're looking, it's kind of here below us. Sort of now. It's quite sort of built up, but you can just make it out there. So this is the sort of bridges that we're talking about here, and they're all trying to move up through these very tight streets. As I said, there's a hospital here, there's baggage trains, and there's a 12-pounder, and they're trying to get out up this steep hill here, and of course the roads aren't as good as they are seen here, but it's more muddy and so they're trying to get up here and get out over to the towards Rixenhart, which is over there. Let's jump back in the helicopter. Now, Lostin's brigade would start to exit Wavre, and it's just at this time that a fire breaks out in the town. So you can't almost make this up really, but the fire breaks out in the town, and the narrow shoots. So it's the powder wagons, the ammunition wagons can't really pass this fire, so panic is setting in. Some are trying to get out of the town, and some are trying to retrace their steps at this point back to the bridge. And unfortunately, there's a company of sappers in the vicinity, and they managed to control the flames. But that's led to another hold up here at this time. Now, of course, Bulow's corps hasn't seen any action. They've been on the way from Liège in the cantonment area in the sort of eastern side of Belgium, and so in terms of combat, they're the fresher corps, and they're the ones who are sent ahead. But they have to now pass through the corps of Pirch and Zieten, who saw the bulk of the action back at Ligny, and the day before, especially Zieten's corps. They were suffering something like in the region of 30 to 40% casualties. So Bulow's got to try and pass through these people on the morning. let's just spin here around, and we'll head towards Rixenhardt. So they eventually come out of Wavre up this slope here, and they're finding that the roads are wet. Let me just check my notes here. So they're winding their way up and out of Wavre up this hill. And they're heading towards the eventually Biège over here. And Le Mans. Which is over here. Heading in this direction as best they can. The paths are turned into a quagmire from the recent rains, and the artillery has to be dragged by ropes. And the same with the wheeled wagons, trying to negotiate this a path through these valleys and trees and across in this direction towards Lasne here. So we're following this road down here. So the infantry and the cavalry would easily make better progress, but the artillery is struggling. A number of cannon are abandoned because they can't actually move them. So they're losing some artillery on the way. And of course it's all slowed up. They're all trying to arrive in some sort of formation, some sort of togetherness when they come out of these woods. These are the Paris woods, the Bois de Paris. That we see here. And it's around about 9 o'clock that the forward brigade of Lostins arrives at this place here, this Chapelle Saint-Lambert. And this is a point where they would the vanguard of this brigade would hold up, waiting for the stragglers to catch up with them. This is we're talking about 9 o'clock in the morning, and by the time they get to here, so they've been on the road essentially for about 5 hours, and they've probably got about half the way to the battlefield of Waterloo. And you can see the battlefield of Waterloo over here, and where the white dot is, and so they're arriving here at 9 o'clock. This is just the first part of Bulow's corps. Okay, so let's just have a little look at where we are then. Just gonna scoot back quickly. So the journey that they've made, then they've come through here at early in the morning, struggles through the town. We've got a fire in this area somewhere here. Delayed it. They've come up this road here, and they start to make their way. We're just trying to see where the logical route would be. It'd probably actually be here, wouldn't it? It comes through here to Le Male, and then up this route, probably in this direction. Until you get to Saint-Lambert. So this is where they would begin to wait for their infantry to line up and get their cavalry and artillery lined up as well. Now, the reason why I'm just going to scoot ahead a little bit here is that as the corps, the first brigade, the vanguard brigade of the Bulow's corps starts to assemble here. He sends, Losthin sends out patrols to the far side of the Paris wood, and this is at around about 10 a.m. So presumably then we're talking about them coming up this road here, and they start to pop out of the wood, essentially here. Okay, and so you can see we're on the far side, the eastern side, we're on the other side of Smohain, and it's believed that Wellington sees these troops arriving here at 10 o'clock in the morning. So the very first patrols are here, and of course there's a connection going on between Wellington and Bulow's corps. They've got liaison officers always riding over, checking on them, patrols and things like that. So they know that Wellington is aware at 10 o'clock in the morning. So this is, if you think about it on the time scale, this is actually before the attack of the French on Hougoumont, which we believe is somewhere in around about 20 past 11 to 12 o'clock. So it's an hour almost, or hour and a half ahead of the battle, and Wellington is already knows that the Prussians are on his are beginning to appear on his left flank. So these are just patrols, by the way, sent out here. Now, in the this is around, as I say, we got to here about 9 o'clock. By about midday, the assembly of Losthin's brigade is complete, and 2 battalions then are sent from here into the Paris wood here, the Bois de Paris, and essentially they work their way to the other side of this wood, and they form up in 2 lines just behind this wood, and we'll probably assume it's in this sort of area here they start forming up. This is also this area here is also known as Fichemont, and it's described as quite a difficult difficult area to manhandle guns through, and there's also a steep drop off into the Lasny Valley. So this is the difficult area for them to get artillery up to. So we'll just spin around here now and check out this the valley. We've got the French position just here on the right. And essentially this valley here kind of protects the French rear, the most southerly part of the rear. And this kind of defines the sort of the limit here of the Prussians' ability to go further south. But we're talking about this valley here as the sort of last obstacle that has to be overcome. Before the Bulow's Corps can get onto this sort of plateau of the battlefield. This is the valley where they're describing these roads as being mud chutes and trying to struggle down essentially from here, this side, and trying to get up the other side of this valley here. It's argued by many historians. Peter Hochschauer was a historian. He's argued that essentially this could have been a place where Napoleon could post a small force somewhere in this area here, and it would have done a disproportionate amount of delay to the Prussians, but he doesn't do that. And you've got to assume as well that if Wellington at this time knows that these patrols over here are Prussian, then Napoleon should as well have realised that they were the troops on his flank weren't French, but he doesn't seem to do any movement in this direction here. He actually waits for the Prussians to come on to him rather than being proactive on this side of the battlefield and possibly trying to control this area here. Right, so we'll leave that there for now. I'm going to take a quick break if you're watching live. Thank you, and I will be back in a couple of minutes after a little break. This is so I can break it up for the YouTube people. If you're watching on YouTube later, then you can just wait for the next video to load up. If you enjoy this sort of thing and like this sort of look at history through the eyes of the Microsoft Flight Simulator, then give it a like, give it a subscribe, and we'll carry on to developing this channel and building this channel over the next few years, probably, because I enjoy this sort of stuff so much. So I will be back in a couple of minutes. I'll see you soon.